house. Awesome. All right. Check it. Happy Thursday. Good morning. In case I forget to mention it, in case there's any little missing thing that you want to get in from recently, I am reporting progress report grades by the end of the day today. I know that's not a permanent grade. I know you might not care, but if your parents are looking and want to see what's going on with everything that's going on, you might want to keep that in mind. I'll try to update participation by the end of the day so it's nice and accurate. Okay, grammar lesson 9 is due last night. That's been checked. I will post a key later today. Vocab lesson 2 test is going to drop tomorrow morning. So let's try to be a little bit more on top of that this time around. Almost all of you guys were fine, but I'll post it first thing in the morning along with my agenda. And I say Friday night at the latest. What I'm hoping that means is you get it done sometime during the day. It doesn't take that long, you know, probably 20 minutes to get that 20 out of 20 points for half of your test grade. Then once again, I'll post a key on Saturday, and by Sunday night, you should submit your corrections. And please be clear when you resubmit, you know, that you've made corrections, okay? Not very many people get them all correct. If you do, make sure and make it very clear at the top. Again, I'm not fussy about how this looks as long as I can tell that you've done it, okay? I don't want to see, you know, X's, circles, whatever it is. Okay, let's get that done by Sunday night. All right, so we read Hunters in the Snow. That was due, did I say 1 through 4 or 1 through 5 in the actual assignment? I thought it was 5.
1 through 5.
Okay, I thought it was 5. For some reason, I have 4 here on the stream. We'll try to talk through as many of those questions as we can. So we'll review, discuss, maybe extend a little bit. And then it's time for some MCQ, multiple choice question practice. I have assigned a set of multiple choice questions that will test your character and setting skills. Those are the skills that we've covered so far, 2 out of the 4 reading type ones, and then there's always a writing one for this unit 1, and we are going to try to finish up this unit within the end of the quarter. Read 2 or 3 more short stories, do some more practices, watch some more videos. But this will self-grade immediate, and you'll get not only immediate feedback on how you did, it's only like 4 or 5 questions, but it'll also provide little explanations for why the correct answers are what they are. So it kind of does, you know, it does it all itself. So complete that today and or tonight, and we'll kind of touch base about that tomorrow. Take care to read those explanations for items answered incorrectly, and do this honestly. You know, it's not going to kill anything if we did collaborate, but you know, these practices that we'll do throughout the course will give you kind of feedback, you know, on a curve and kind of show how you're doing as far as, you know, percentages that you're getting correct. While it might not be extremely useful just to have feedback or a percentage on 4 questions, when you add them all together, it's going to kind of show how you're doing. Okay, so as long as you do it on time, you get your credit there. It's not really a test grade or anything. It will be kind of set up, you know, through AP Classroom like a test will, except you have that lockdown browser, but it's good to practice the interface. So maybe before we go, get a few of you to log on there and make sure that you see that, okay? Okay, can everybody get your, let's dig into your responses to the Hunters in the Snow questions and maybe get your Perrine book out too, especially if you didn't copy the questions into your document. The questions for the story are on page 99. What a story. What a weird story, huh? I had some people, interestingly enough, and there's no, you know, this is a subjective thing, kind of argue that that this is more commercial fiction because they found the twist at the end to be, they found a surprise twist to be maybe almost, I don't know, I guess kind of predictable or something. To me, the twist was not predictable, and I do consider this literary fiction. That's why it's here, but those are interesting. It's an ending that, oh, Adam's having trouble getting in. It's certainly an ending that there's some ambiguity to it, but at the same time, it very strongly implies, you know, that something horrible is going to happen here, and namely that that Kenny's going to die, right? And that, you know, when they make it back wherever they make it, because they are not headed toward the hospital, he's bleeding pretty badly. So why? What is all that supposed to mean? You know, that's the question. I saw a lot of people, talked to a few people, finish reading it, and they're like, I don't get it. You know, what does this mean? You know, and that's what we want to think about. What does it mean? What's at work here? And what's the author trying to say? It definitely has much more of a plot where several things do happen, right? It's not complex necessarily, but what is it all supposed to mean? It feels kind of random and dark, probably, right? All right, questions. Let's speak up here. discuss the way Tub is presented in the opening scene. Is your assessment of his character change in later scenes? So it begins with that, scene with the truck pulling up, they're picking him up early in the morning and they almost run into him and stuff. And it's definitely, guys, being bullies to each other and kind of broy and stuff. What's our impression of Tub to start off? What you think?
Can you hear me?
Sure can. Thanks, Maui.
I said the Tub. I don't know if I didn't know if I was being extreme at the point, but I said he was like gluttonous, and he like, I don't know. I just got like a disgusting vibe about him.
Okay.
The way he.
Go ahead.
What was I? And then I said that he kind of like, he wants his way, because when the truck was coming, he like didn't move. Like if that was me, I would have moved out of the way before
Gotcha.
the truck got.
It seems mean, some people might see it as mean how the other guys treat him, right? Because they seem like they kind of bully him and stuff. But he doesn't exactly make us want to like him a lot either, right? Especially the more we kind of figure out about him, he doesn't really create necessarily a sympathetic character. So, really by the end of this, we might question whether any of the characters are sympathetic, even though some of them seem to maybe kind of resolve some differences, which we'll talk about, right? But yeah, most people might find him a little bit sympathetic at first because he seems to be being picked on, like we said. And then also, anybody else have any kind of like changed feelings about him maybe later in the story, at least for part of the story? What was kind of remarkable that he did at one point that we might not have expected out of him? When Frank's picking on him really bad. Well, yeah, there's that. I was thinking more of when he kind of actually finally stood up for himself, right? Like he'd had enough from Frank and being picked on, and you might have thought to yourself, "Oh, all right, Tub, that's good. Stand up for yourself."
Well, I think he stood up for himself before when he shot Kenny.
You think what?
I think he stood up for himself when he shot Kenny.
Yeah. I mean, he did. I mean, he did do that out of a gut reflex of self-defense, sure, right? Especially since we didn't know at the time that Kenny had actually gotten permission from the owner of the property to shoot the dog, right? And so Kenny was like, he turned that was like a horrible, violent, practical joke. The fact that Kenny does not tell them that the owner had given him permission to basically put the dog out of his misery, right? And so that made when he did it seem absolutely, horrible. And it was kind of horrible the way that he did it, right? And then when he says, "I hate," he does the fence post, then he does the dog, and then he says, "I hate you, Tub." It's like, and even those guys, they understand, right? But again, what the hell is all this? What does all this add up to? That's a big question we want to keep moving toward. So two, talking about setting, right? How does the cold? I mean, the question almost answers itself, right? But I almost wish it would ask the question like, how does the environment in the story relate to its meaning? But it's the cold, hostile environment, right? Because what else is cold and hostile?
Their friendship.
Who's that? Is that Ashley talking there?
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew too. Is that who's talking there? It's a little bit of a sound delay with the weirdness in the room. Yeah, it's I like how you put that, Ashley, because it's not necessarily that the people are cold and hostile, but their relationships are cold and hostile. It's almost the same thing, right? But it also kind of, there has to be something in here that Tobias Wolff is saying about, the world as he perceives it, right? And this is where we have to like turn off our emotions, because to appreciate the story, you don't need to think that the world is a hostile and cold place where it seems to be just these, forces at work, for, survival and not really having true attachments to people, and maybe just kind of alliances and people trying to win. You don't have to think that, right? But we want to understand what Tobias Wolff seems to be saying. And that's kind of seems what he's getting at, right? It's a bleak, dark view of the world. And I don't like the story because I agree with that. I like it because he gives a convincing portrayal of his perception of the world, if that makes sense. Okay, that's reacting not emotionally but intellectually to it. So yeah, there's all kinds of minute descriptions of things being affected helplessly by the environment, not just the people, right? Like blades of grass frozen and the snow crunching and all this stuff. And none of it sounds like a benevolent Mother Nature or anything like that, like you would see in a lot of stories in which nature is described a lot, right? You know, probably no accident that it's not hunters in the grassy fields, right? It's hunters in the snow, right? It's not a lot of life out there, and it's cold. And like Foster says, you know, winter and cold have connotations of lifelessness or maybe even death, and that kind of goes along with what's going on in the story. Okay, which or whom is the most sympathetic of the three characters? The story deals in part with the power struggle among them. Which character is the most powerful? So who's the most sympathetic? Who's the most powerful? Not necessarily one right answer here. Do the balance of power and alliances between the characters shift as the story proceeds? Just think on that one there. A few things to talk about.
I said that Tub was the most sympathetic.
Throughout?
And it wasn't really because like he was actually sympathetic. He was just the only, like he was the weakest one out of the group. So
If nothing else, that makes him slightly more sympathetic because he feels sorry for him.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Other opinions? Which character is the most powerful? Could we say there's one who's most despicable, since that's where they seem to be headed? Kenny or Frank?
I think it's Kenny because
Okay.
Kenny has like a on Frank with the babysitter.
Because Kenny what?
He has the babysitter on Frank. I don't know. What
Oh,
that
you mean
is.
how he holds it over him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't we also argue that Frank is kind of despicable too? I mean, it's one thing for someone to have an extramarital affair. You know, it's never a good thing, but it happens. People fall out of love. There's infidelity. People separate. But this isn't just that, right? I mean, what makes this much worse, especially how he tries to actually justify it, right? Like he tries to like morally, intellectually justify it, which is total BS, right? Because who's it with? I heard a voice in the room, but not through Zoom. Are you unmuted?
Mine or
and who is that talking? Oh, is that Chris?
does me.
Yeah, your square never lights up for some reason. It makes me mad because you speak up. Okay. Yeah, it's with a minor. She's like, I mean, I think he says that she's, what? Is it almost 16? Is that it? Oof, that's horrible, right? We're talking about guys who are, you know, they are fathers of children as well. We don't hear like totally how old they are or anything, but that is you know, more than borderline pedophile kind of situation there, right? It's awful. So some of us might even think that Frank is the worst one. Did you notice about Frank's like wedding band also? It wasn't Frank's wedding band. It's a real minor detail. It kind of makes us wonder about how much he thinks about himself. His own wedding band, there's an F on it. Does it stand for Frank? Like I'm Frank? I have an F in my wedding band? That's really weird and kind of self-indulgent. Kind of just a little clue, I think. So no, you know, and then after a while we hear the Tub for all of the sympathy that we have for him because he's got gland problems. You know, some people who are overweight have a health problem, you know, that makes them that way, and it's really hard to do anything about. And we think with Tub we feel sorry for him for a while, but then what does he admit? What does he admit later? Anybody catch that? There's not a question about it.
He was lying.
He was lying. Yeah. He's just a glutton, right? He has no self-control. And then when you think about that, when you think about what Frank does, and then you think about what Kenny does, as much as I don't think this is any sort of like religious story or anything, it almost kind of makes us think of like deadly sin, 7 deadly sin type of character flaws, doesn't it? It's a little bit of biblical connotation there because it's so blatant, you know, gluttony, whatever we call it, infidelity, and those 7 deadly sins or whatever, and then the you know, violence thing, you know, killing someone else. It's right there for us, right? One of them has like at least one huge big one. Anyway, last part of number 3 asks, do the balance of power and alliances between the characters shift as the story proceeds? They do. It almost reminds me of like a reality show or something, because what happens? Who forms kind of a bond? sort of, supposedly. Tub and Frank. While Kenny's like, lying maybe under a blanket in the bed of the truck outside. They don't seem like terribly concerned or in a hurry to get back out there, right? They're just kind of talking and stuff, not taking seriously, the condition of the friend, right? So yeah, that's weird. On the last one, number 4, how do the physical descriptions of the characters help us to understand them? For example, has Tubbs' obesity relevant to his character? All right, well, we've talked about that, right? Because it's the whole gluttony thing. He really, truly just can't control himself, right? And it might seem kind of mean to make an unsympathetic character out of that, but I do think it's kind of on purpose, because we're basically talking about guys, maybe no mistake that it's men here. We have a male author, criticizing the way that some men might be or can be in his opinion. And they all have this one part of them that they can't control. Kenny can't control wanting to just have these outbursts of violence. Frank can't control his desire. Tub can't control, his gluttony. And that's certainly the case with Tub there. All right, second half of story number 5 includes some surprising twists and turns. How are these more meaningful and substantial than the random plot twist one might find in a purely commercial work of fiction? Okay, that's a good question. What makes this, if you think it is, kind of rise above something that would be more commercial fiction, with everything that we talked about with what literary and commercial fiction are?
I said the twist in here was different because it wasn't really like a good twist, or it was just it was more of a disgusting twist.
Yeah, it's like these guys are already pitiful enough, and now the narrator's going to throw that on them. It almost, what I like about it is it's so brief and jarring, but at the same time you can kind of infer in your imagination. Like, I don't know, I've always felt like this would make a really good film, maybe, or a short movie or something if you extended it. Probably just a short film, but and you have the guys in the truck and they have their alleged, rekindling of their friendship. They're getting along, not picking on each other, trying to save their friend, but at the same time, they haven't been careful. I mean, who forgets to bring the directions with you when your friend has been shot, right? It's because, the other two are maybe more concerned with just kind of making up, and now with their friend has been shot and one of them is responsible for. And then it pans out, and maybe it shows the hospital way over here, and the truck driving the opposite direction or something. Yeah, it is kind of a disgusting twist. It's a jarring twist. It's a dark twist. It almost feels like an overkill way of saying these guys, are they getting what they deserve, for their kind of overall behavior? But then at the same time, I also think the whole thing feels. What would we call a story? What would be underlying a story in which forces of nature are at work, random things happen. There's not a benevolent deity or force of goodwill who's gonna forgive people for things and give you a good fate, and instead it's just kind of a survival of something or other. You see where I'm getting at? To me, the story feels kind of what? It's like they're animals out there. Some will make it, some won't. Random things happen.
Are you asking us a question?
I am.
Are we supposed to answer that?
I'm trying to lead. Yeah, I'm trying to lead you.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure several of you are thinking that. Yeah, it feels Darwinian, right? It feels like evolutionary, right? Like there is this is not a story where, all right. Oh, and Adam put that into the chat too. Sorry, Adam. Yeah, I think that's in there, where it's not, you don't earn your way back to, the good graces of the world. What's going to happen is going to happen. You've got the environment, you've got the weather, you've got whether or not you're strong enough and whether or not you survive. And you've even got these weird alliance things going, right? To part of the pack, who's the alpha male and things like that. It feels pretty cold, right? And that doesn't have to be how you think of the world, right? But is Tobias Wolff doing that? I'm pretty sure he is. Okay. Anything else in these remaining questions? I think we've pretty much covered those. Yeah, we're good. All right. I don't think we have time to kind of get into a thesis thing. But obviously, we've talked about how setting and character work in the story, so let's practicing those skills. And I think you guys are definitely ready to do those practices, and maybe we can attack the writing a little bit tomorrow in class. So don't forget about that vocab test. I'll drop tomorrow morning, but I'll remind you, and we should be good. Questions, anybody? Okay, good to see ya. Happy almost Friday. Bye-bye.